So I want to talk around leading change and why so much change efforts fail. So researchers who look at this estimate that 2/3 of all change efforts fail. And I was speaking to a senior leader the other day who was telling me that at their large organisation, they just change from one thing to the other thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, because nothing they seem to do works. So they just keep trying new things. And what we don't see so much is people stopping to say, why are the change efforts failing? So I want to give you one of the key reasons change fails and help you see how you can lead efforts that are much more likely to succeed. So this is an idea that comes from a couple of guys, Barry Johnson and Peter Dupre at Polarity Management. So it's around polarity thinking. So I'll talk it through for you. Now, what I'm holding up here is called a polarity. It's that there are two interdependent parts which work together in tandem. And so whenever there's change going on, there's two pieces which are happening, two polarities. The first is there's the change, but the second piece is the flip side of that, which is stability. Stability. So in any change effort, you need to be thinking through all of these, and usually leaders don't. So the typical situation is the managers come in and say, listen, there's going to be a change effort. So what do? They talk around all the problems with the existing way of doing things. They talk around all the downsides with keeping the status quo. How much it's costing us, how disruptive it is, how it's so problematic, how the world's changing. Then what do? They point out the upsides of their new approach. If we do it this way, here's all the benefits that we're going to get. Now the people who are listening, who are going to need to implement the change and who it's going to affect, what do? Well, they say, hold on a minute. Here's all the benefits of the way we're currently doing things, of keeping it stable. We all know how to do it. We've been doing it for 15 years. It works like this. You know, it's the most efficient way. So they'll point out all the benefits of the status quo. Then where do they go? They start pointing out all of the downsides of making the change. They'll say how disruptive it's going to be, how it's going to be confusing, how it will create anxiety for people. People don't know how to do it, how there's going to be so many unintended consequences. So what do management do? They start talking in an even louder voice. But we can't keep doing it the way we've been doing it. There's going to be so much benefits from doing it this new way. And what do the other people do? They do the opposite. And so the conversations just go like that. They are diagonal. And no one feels like they're being listened to. The management say, why won't these people get on board with the change? And the staff say, why can't management get it? Why can't they understand what it's like for us? So, and this is incredibly typical of change efforts. And so what ends up happening is massive resistance from the people who are sort of in charge of implementing, because they don't feel like they've been heard, acknowledged, or understood. And they have less faith in the decision itself for the change because they don't think that the managers are seeing the full picture. So what is the best approach? So Barry Johnson points out there's actually a best order to communicating and engaging people with the change. And here's the best order to do it in. You begin by talking around the upsides of the way things are currently done. So you acknowledge, look, I know there's a lot of benefits. People understand how to do this. We've done it for a long time. It's stable, and look, here's all the different ways that it does work for us. Then you point out, here's some of the downsides and challenges we're going to face if we do go through this change. So you acknowledge what people are already thinking. It's not going to be easy and just full of benefits. There's going to be some challenges. There'll be some downsides. There'll be some disruption. It might cause some of us some anxiety trying to do it this new way. Then you talk around, but here's some of the challenges. If we're to keep it going the same way we currently are, here's some of the issues we're running into because the world is changing, because there are greater challenges, because our competitors are doing some new things. So you point out some of the challenges if we don't change. Then you talk around some of the benefits of what would happen if we did. And here's the interesting part. You finish by then talking and acknowledging the benefits and the upsides of the way we've traditionally done things around here. The value of doing this is that people feel like that you as a leader get it. You're not just giving a one-sided argument, you get their perspective. You can empathize with them, and you can articulate their concerns as well as they can. So that gives them much more faith in the decision, that you've taken their views into account in your decision making, and even with all of that, you believe that this is the best way to go. This is called polarity thinking. It's an incredibly important piece to think of when you are leading change and when you are communicating change. And it's one of the major reasons that most change efforts fail, is people fail to think through all four parts of the polarity.